Welcome to the Ask Jordan podcast, answering your questions about selling on Amazon. Now, he's flipped more toys than a stadium full of toddlers. From Long Island, New York, here's your host, Jordan Malik.
Hello, Amazon sellers. This is your host, Jordan Malik. You're listening to the Ask Jordan podcast. This is our 37th episode. Over 33,000 downloads to date. We're in the early August of 2014. I hope you're having a great summer. I hope you're having a prosperous one. I hope you've been doing a lot of successful things online. Selling on Amazon, I'm sure, is one of them. Thanks so much for making me part of your day. You had a lot of choices of what you could listen to or download. The fact that you listen to me is an honor, and I'm very happy to be here for you and sharing being part of your world today. So this is the podcast, if you're listening for the first time, welcome, where we answer only questions about selling on Amazon. Every episode, we answer a different question submitted by you, the listener, about selling on Amazon. If you missed an episode, go to askjordan.net, askjordan.net, where we've archived all of our previous episodes. And if you have a question that's burning that you haven't had answered, maybe it's already answered there. If you have a question that hasn't been answered on the show, on the same page, askjordan.net, you can find out how to submit your question. And if you submit your question and it's chosen by me to answer on the podcast, you'll get 7 of my best-selling ebooks 100% free. Today's question is from Alan. Go ahead, Alan.
Hi, Jordan. This is Alan. I recently had a lot of luck finding new inbox, repackaged, and used small appliances and parts at garage sales and thrift stores. What are your suggestions for selling these through FBA and or through eBay? When referring to eBay, please give us some ideas on shipping strategies you would suggest so that we don't get in trouble there. Anyway, thanks for the great podcast. I listen to them all and usually more than once. Thank you.
Alan, I'm so happy you brought up that topic. It's one of my favorite items to sell for a number of reasons. I'm going to get to the number of reasons in a minute, but used appliances or new appliances are permitted. I call them mini electrics or mini appliances. They are permitted by for any seller to sell on Amazon. And Alan, I know you mentioned eBay, but we're just going to stick to Amazon for this example. I will buy, typically, it's rather easy for me to find open box or new in the package appliances at garage sales, sometimes thrift stores, or I used to do a pretty good clip placing item wanted ads on Craigslist, which you can do for free. You can go to Craigslist, Craigslist.com, or is it Craigslist.org, and easily place a item wanted ad. And people actually do read those. So let me give you I'll give you at least one example. Well, first, I'm going to actually get into packaging. Let's answer Alan's question about packaging for Amazon FBA. So you buy a used appliance. Let's just say you find a Sunbeam toaster that's still in the box. Remember, the item could actually be used. I would say if the item's used, I highly suggest you clean it thoroughly. Most of the you can find a good amount of appliances or mini electrics that are hardly used or not used at all. Doesn't matter if the item is still in its box or not, in its original box. It doesn't matter if the item still has its instructions or doesn't have its original instructions. You can ship the item as long as whatever you're selling is 100% complete. So if you're selling a mini convection oven that has 2 or 3 different types of racks in it, you got to make sure those racks are included when you ship that item to Amazon. What I like to do is I'll find roughly a right-sized box for that item. So like a U-Haul, for instance, sells boxes of various sizes. I think one of their smallest box is a 16-inch by 12-inch by 12. They're considered their quote-unquote small box, 16 by 12 by 12. You can actually find the same size box sold either singularly or in bulk at Home Depot and Lowe's. Excuse me. I'm partial to the U-Haul boxes because they're sturdier, in my opinion. So let's say you find that convection oven and you want to sell it on Amazon. If it's 100% complete, even if it's missing the original box, even if it's missing the original instructions, you can put that item in a small box, a smaller box, like a 16 by 12 by 12. Make sure you put a little padding in there around it, newspaper or crumpled paper or that air cushion stuff, not peanuts. And seal up the item, and you put your barcode that your printer at home spits out for the product that you normally put over the UPC code. You put the barcode for the item on the exterior of that box. Also put a label, handwritten or printed out on a piece of paper with clear tape over it, so you're taping it on the box. You're using clear packaging tape so you can see right through the tape, and seal that label onto the box, and make sure that label says not ship ready, not ship ready. So Amazon just doesn't ship it like that after they receive it from you. And also put another label on it, also with a printout from your printer, clear tape over it. Make sure the second label says sold as set, do not separate. Now, I know what you're thinking. Well, Jordan's not a set; it's a toaster oven or a convection oven. But you don't want Amazon opening the box and removing the contents by accident. So you want to put a label on that says sold as set. Then when that's all sealed up and ready to go, you stick that, just like you do any other item, into a bigger box with your other items that you're sending to Amazon, ship it to Amazon. Okay? So that's how I package my mini appliances and mini electrics. Now, here's why, for those of you who are listening, why the mini electrics is such a great product to sell, new or used. By the way, if you want to include instructions and you can't find, you don't have the original instructions, remember the original instructions are not required for you to resell the item on Amazon, whether it's new or used. You can do a search. Go to google.com and do a search for the model number. Let's say your Sunbeam convection oven is model SB-L74. You do go to Google and you type in SB-L74 Sunbeam instructions, and sometimes you can find these instructions for free that somebody has posted online. Sometimes Sunbeam, if you go to Sunbeam's original manufacturer site, they will have the products you can download. I download mine and print them up and say the instructions are included in my product description. You can say original instructions are included, but they're a reprint of the original instructions, or you can just say instructions are included. So here's why mini appliances and mini electrics are so lucrative, and it's a number of reasons. I'm going to rattle them off for you now. One is on the supply side. Homeowners who have yard sales or garage sales or estate sales, or who are dumping stuff off at thrift stores, or who are reading your Craigslist wanted ads. Homeowners, particularly in America, are kitchen gadget heavy. They receive them as gifts. They receive one that they use once and put away. They receive one that doesn't go with the decor of their kitchen, so they stick it in a box, and under a shelf it goes to sit. That's kind of like a little bit of a gold mine for people like you or me. Now, to give you an example, I went to a yard sale recently. It's probably 3 weeks ago, and they had what's called a Sunbeam Rocket. I think it's called a Sunbeam Rocket cooker. It's sitting in a storage room right now because I haven't processed it yet. I've been doing a lot of other things, but it's a Sunbeam Rocket something. It's one of those infrared cookers. So you put all your meat and potatoes in there, and it cooks it with infrared. It's got raving reviews on Amazon. And I said to the guy, I said, how much do you want for it? It wasn't used. It was still in the plastic, but the box was open. But everything was there. And I said, how much do you want for it? I think he said $10, and it sells for like over $100 on Amazon. So my profit right there is going to be at least, I don't know, $50, $60. So these items tend to stick around in people's households. And one day the lady of the household says, we're getting rid of everything. Put it on a yard sale, throw it on Craigslist or whatever. They don't bother with Amazon. They don't bother with eBay. And there it is for the taking. I've done very well with these mini appliances. One was a little indoor, like, arborist gardening thing. It's like it's a herb garden, an indoor herb garden with like the heat lamp and everything. And I paid $5 for that. I think I got $100 for it as well. Cuisinart, KitchenAid, those are all two terrific brands to find and resell. Remember, whatever you're selling on Amazon should be 100% complete for you to sell it. And there's a lucrative market for parts as well. If you're also an eBay seller like me, I've taken parts of an appliance where I didn't have everything 100%, and the parts can sell for a pretty penny too, which parts are sold on eBay. Some parts are actually listed on Amazon. Third-party listers have taken it upon themselves to post their products on Amazon. So, a certain Cuisinart food processor has like 12 different blades. You could effectively make a listing, if there already isn't one, for each individual blade or a lot of blades, etc. Getting to post new items on Amazon is getting easy. Posting items that are not previously in the Amazon catalog is getting a little bit easier these days. It's taking almost about the same amount of time that you'd have to take for an eBay listing. That is at your computer, about the same amount of time. So the supply there's a rich supply of products out there. You just have to look for them. And like I said, if you don't have any yard sales, if you do have yard sales, here's a great tool to find local yard sales and plot out a map. Is gsailor.com. The letter G, letter S as in Sam, ALR.com. GSALR.com is a yard sales search tool that will help you find and map out garage sales. And it's a very interesting and reliable site that I've used for a while now. Estate sales, go to estatesales.net, find local estate sales where people are selling everything inside their home. Post a Craigslist item wanted ad. Say, I'm looking for this model, or if you have any Cuisinart blenders, and post some pictures of Cuisinart blenders, Here's the other reasons why it's so lucrative. The dirty hand syndrome. Many sellers that are among your peers that are competing with you do not want to get their hands dirty. So if you have an appliance that just needs to be cleaned, I'm not talking about, if you have like a deep fry cookers I found as well. I found a deep fry cooker that was used like maybe once, and I cleaned it up nice, and I have it ready to go to list on Amazon. I paid probably $5. It's going to sell for at least $50. But many sellers do not want to get their hands dirty. Yes, it can be time consuming. But I think the bulk of sellers avoid used small electrics because they do not want to get their hands dirty. They think there's a big land of gold and riches awaiting them over the hill, and all they have to do is make a big wholesale purchase from a supplier in China for $1,000 and sell everything for 10 grand. And it's just, that doesn't work like that unless you're very experienced and you know what you're doing. But it doesn't, many sellers that are among your peers right now that aren't touching appliances, or used appliances, or even open box appliances that are still new in the box, they don't want to get their hands dirty. You have to take the item out. You have to make sure it's clean. You have to test it. Just because it's an open box and looks brand new, if you don't test it and you sell it, not knowing whether or not it works, and the buyer gets that, the buyer's going to be really angry. So I will take, the only time I will list something as like new, when I'm listing a used electric or a mini appliance, I'll only list it like new if it's still in the box and the box is sealed. I will list it as very good or less if the box has been opened. Even if the item's never been removed from the package, you do not list it as like new, because Amazon has some stringent rules, and besides their stringent rules on condition, I try to go one step down so the customer is delighted. So if the item is really like new in the box and I say used very good condition, I'll then elaborate in my condition notes and I'll say never removed from box, never used, but they're also expecting something that's in quote very good condition. They get it, it's practically new in the box. I just don't say like new. So I try to leave that element, little margin of error or cushioning or surprise or delight for the customer. So that's the other phenomena, is that sellers do not want to get their hands dirty. Now, from the buyer side, that fuels your profits as a seller of used mini electrics, used mini appliances, is that people get an affinity for something and they wear the crap out of it. They burn it out. Excuse me. Manufacturers of mini electrics purposely come out with new models all the time. They do that to keep up with new technology, but they also do that so they can, create new revenue streams using new models. It doesn't matter that the brand new model, the CX1100, has the same exact features more or less as the CX900. They know that there's a group of buyers who already bought the CX900. They're going to fork over money for the CX1100. So in any case, that's irrelevant. What's important is that consumers develop an affinity for a certain type of meal cooker, a certain type of blender, right? A certain type of clock radio, a certain type of printer, right? And a printer on their desk, a certain type of calculator. And they don't want to let that go. So the day comes when they've used it, and these things do burn out, you know, small electrics, mini electrics don't last forever. And the first place that they're going to turn to find an exact replacement of what they once owned is Amazon. And that's where you come in, because you can afford to price your products higher, because you're not only appealing just to the consumer's need to fill a utility need for them to blend or chop or cook or wake themselves up or whatever. You're filling in a deeper need for them to have the exact same product once again that they can't just go into a store and find anymore, right? And that's where you come in as a seller. You can command a higher price. That's why this Sunbeam rocket cooker I mentioned earlier, that's the reason why I could sell it for $100, is because the customers that have used it have burnt it out, and they develop an affinity, and they're so convinced that this cooker, and in many cases they may be right, because the cooker does have great reviews on Amazon, that it's going to do a much better job of whatever new model is out there that does infrared cooking, and they want that model. And that's why it's priced. That's why it's selling at $100 and up used. Okay? So that's another phenomenon on the buyer side that fuels your sales. So, Alan, when you combine all that phenomena of there's a very inefficient, aside from Amazon, there's a very inefficient marketplace for people who want to get rid of these electrics that are making clutter in their cupboards, and the people that are looking for that specific model that want to buy them. It's very inefficient, right? Because if you're a seller, you can't just bring these down to somewhere and sell it and get any significant amount of money, but you can bring it to a scrapyard who scraps metal and get 50 cents for it. You can shove it on a yard sale tablecloth outside and get $5 or $10 for it. But at the other end of the spectrum, there's a buyer that's willing to pay $100. And if you're the owner of that mini electric appliance that you want to sell, you're not an Amazon seller, there's a huge inefficiency in between you and the buyer. And many yard sale folks or homeowners don't know anything about Amazon, or it's too much of a hassle for them to figure out how to sell. There's just two electric appliances I have kicking around. I got to go log on to Amazon, create a seller account. And what's this? I got to give my credit card. And now they're going to charge me $39.95. I don't want to do any of that per month. I don't want to do any of that. And they're too lazy to take the pictures to put it on eBay. Not many other options for them today. That's why if you're an Amazon seller, you don't mind getting your hands dirty like me or the legions of people that I've shown how to. That's an opportunity for you to come in and get your hands dirty just a little bit. It's not like you're not digging a coal mine. You're prepping the item, testing it, making sure it works. And you can rinse and repeat that when you find an appliance that sells well, that you know that there's probably a lot more of. That's where you can start posting those Craigslist wanted ads. And when you find 10 different mini appliances that sell well, you can post 10 different Craigslist wanted ads for those 10 different appliances. And then you can be driving around to all the yard sales, dropping off leaflets saying, I am looking for any of these appliances. If you have them in good working condition, I'd like to buy them from you, and leave your phone number. You see how that can get to a point where you've got your phone ringing or email box with people contacting you saying, yeah, I've got one, I'll sell it to you, So, Alan, that's a great question, and thank you very much for bringing that up. Alan gets all 7 of my ebooks about selling on Amazon and eBay. Alan, just go to AskJordan.net, click on the small envelope icon in the upper right-hand corner near the top corner of the page. Send me an email so I know where to send your free ebooks to. If you, the listener, want to submit a question to the podcast and have a chance to win all my best-selling ebooks like Alan, just call 516-619-ONLINE. That's 516-619-6654. Or go to AskJordan.net and scroll down. Look for the directions on submitting your question halfway down the page. Hey, thanks for listening again. This has been the Ask Jordan podcast. We'll see you again in our next episode.